Hey guys, Paul McLean here. Welcome back to the Monday Morning Mindset Podcast. It's an honor and privilege every week for me to get on and join you. And I don't take it lightly. I intentionally sit back and prepare and think, how can I best serve you and serve you well? The goal and desire is that this week is better than last week, and that you can set yourself up to think at a higher level by plugging in and consuming some good stuff. And so before I get into it, let me just tell you this. Today, we're going to talk about the single biggest thing that will help you explode and hit your goals. You can say the single biggest thing. And so just trust me. Make sure to share this, like, subscribe, like get everything you can get today, because I promise you it's going to set you up for great success. And really what I want to do is kind of go back to me starting out in this business, right? Like the thing is this, after 18 years, there's a lot of setbacks, failures, trip ups, things that I wish I would have been, would have handled it differently. Things I wish I would have applied myself differently, all kinds of things that I would tweak and adjust, and lessons I've learned from those, setbacks. And so what I want to do is really kind of help with my hindsight and allow it to be your foresight as you move forward into 2026. And so what I'm going to talk about today is really, I think, the most important thing in this business. There's three things that are crucial. I think this third one is essential. The three things are attitude, activity, and association. The third being association. And you can say, why is that so important? I believe that's so essential because I think that influences your activity. I think that influences your attitude, which your attitude is just the way you think, feel, and behave. And so association is essential and crucial. So I'm not going to just talk about it hypothetically. I want to give you some practical handles that you could grab onto, go out there and really take your association to the next level, because when association gets better, you get better. And so let's talk about it. The big thing that we have coming up is annual summit. And so that's the next thing that you can plug into and associate. Now, if you're watching this after the fact, a lot of what we're going to talk about, in fact, I'd almost venture to say all of what we're going to talk about is still applicable day to day in what you do. And it's a characteristic and a quality that will really help you take it to the next level. So when I got started in this business, I remember being 19 years old and just really hoping that something was going to fall in my lap and give me a shot to be successful. At the time, I had a daughter that was not yet born, but she was coming any minute. My wife was 9 months pregnant, and I was like, shoot, I got to figure out a way to take care of the family. And I was desperate. I was like, I don't know how we're going to pay the bills. I told my wife, like, we're going to have to buy those diapers that you got to like wash off and reuse. And I was like, sweetie, also you could breastfeed our daughter, until she's like 7, because breast milk's free. And I was just trying to figure out, like, how do we, like, I'm desperate. Like, I got to figure something out. Well, I ended up going to a family barbecue. My cousin just opens up, talks about what he's doing. And obviously I'm very interested given the season of where I'm at. And he's like, hey, I'm doing life insurance now, got out of lending. And, it's a pretty simple business. Clients are filling out forms, asking for help. I said, okay, that sounds great. And he's like, also, we have a blueprint, and you can get around the people that are best in the industry and copy them. Now that hit me really good because I was just out of high school and I had straight A's. And I had straight A's because I was really good at sitting next to the pretty girls that were studying all week long. And I just said, hey, would you mind moving your elbow so I could see your test? And so I love this thought of like the copycat system. And he's like, yeah, it's for their best interest to help you, especially when you're on their team and the group. And so I started to really understand, like, man, this is a beautiful dynamic. Most industries, people would hold their cards close to their chest. Here, it's for their vested interest, even if they're selfish, to tell you how to go out there and build a big business, because your business is their business. And so I love that concept. And so I started to plug in, and I ended up, right after I got my license, my daughter was born, and there was this big event coming up. And at the time, the company I was with, this event cost $1,000 for the ticket to entry, and also the plane ticket. You had to fly there, you had to stay there, and so I looked at all that and I said, I just can't do it, bro. Like, there's no shot. Like, I've got a baby coming, or I got a baby that just was born. Like, dude, she's a couple weeks old. Like, I don't have any money. And he said something that really gave me the right perspective. And looking back, I think it was probably the most important thing that was ever said to me, because it really set me on this path that changed my whole career, changed my whole life, and got me to where I'm at today. And so he said, if there was a bag of money in Orlando, $200,000 in a duffel bag, all you had to do is fly out there, pick it up, and then fly back. Would that still be preventing you from going? Whatever's holding you back. I said, well, no, dude, of course. I would figure out how to get there and get the 200 grand and fly back. And he said, it's the exact same thing. Same thing. He's like, you're going to get there. you're going to get around the right people, the right environment. You're going to hear the best of the best talk about exactly specifically what they do. And he said, the big deal is this, you think you're committed right now. You think your decisions are going to be in line with you taking the right risk, making the right choices, getting uncomfortable, making the right sacrifices. He said, but you probably won't. He said, when you get to that environment, in that event, where you've got all these people out there having success, talking about what they're doing to have success, you'll make a big decision at a big event. And when the emotion is high, you're more likely to have that decision really take root. And I kind of understood what he said, but I didn't really get it because I had not yet experienced it. But I ended up going to that event, and at that event, it was an opportunity for me to really get around people that were where I was wanting to go, and I could just follow the footsteps forward. And it wasn't like I hadn't been on a conference calls. It wasn't like I hadn't gone to meetings. And that was great, and I was very diligent. I had the student mindset, like I'm gonna take notes. I'm gonna apply myself. I'm not just gonna sit there and have it go one ear out the other. Like I'm gonna study what's being said. And I could easily gone with that and said, I've already got the education. But when I went to that event, man, it changed everything. I heard all kinds of different feedback and advice. I heard people that had all kinds of different reasons and feelings like I had. I don't know if you've ever had those feelings where you just think like, man, maybe this is not going to work. Maybe this is for everybody, but not me. And I just feel like I'm not having the breakthrough. But then I hear somebody go up there and they talk about their story, about how they were struggling for this period of time. And then they just kept being persistent, and they persevered. They plugged around. They got asked a bunch of questions. They started investing more into leads, and all of a sudden, boom, it popped. And I remember sitting there thinking like, well, maybe I'm not. Maybe this is normal. Maybe this isn't a sign that this business isn't going to work. Maybe this is a sign that this business takes work, and it's going to reward those that persevere. And so I got out of that event, came back with notes and pages of notes, and it really shifted the way I thought. And what I found to be true is this. In order for you to get to a higher level in life, you got to get to a higher thought process. You can't get to a higher thought process unless you get exposed to one. And you typically won't substitute yours for the higher thought process unless it gets exposed to you so repeatedly where it becomes the one that just seems more familiar. Either that, or you get to a place where you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and through that great pain, you're like, all right, I'm going to do something different. I'll finally invest the right amount of leads. I'll finally get to the meetings. I'll finally make sure that I'm tracking my KPIs. I'll finally make sure I'm doing these things. For me, I don't know about you, I'd rather have that come through repetition of message. I'd rather that come from submersion. And so those 2 days, I was submerged, and so started rewiring the way I saw things. I remember having this thought process and thinking like, I'm just going to save my way to success. Like if I could just save 20 grand every year, eventually I'm going to have a big savings. I could retire. And I got around people that were just like, dude, you can't save your way to success. Like you got to invest your way to success. 20 grand in savings does nothing. You're better off putting it all back into leads, recruiters, and different, places that can help grow your business, that can help drive revenue, that can help build your business, because your business and that being fed and getting big enough, that's going to lead to financial freedom. Passive income and that being built is going to lead to financial freedom. And I was like, got it. I remember hearing different people on stage, just some of the struggles and setbacks and things that they had gone through, and having this phrase that was kind of stated by a person. They had watched somebody go through cancer that was close in their family, and they said, the way we look at it as we build our team is anytime somebody's got a complaint, the question is, did you just get diagnosed with terminal cancer? And he said, just put stuff in perspective. And it puts stuff in perspective for me. And it's something that I put into my team. Like we got this no complaining rule policy. And this was something that I grabbed that shifted everything. So now if somebody's got a complaint, I just look at them like, dude, I didn't know, did you get the results back? Like, are you dying? Because if you're not, like, dude, what are we talking about? Like nobody picked up the phone today? Like you're gonna be okay, right? Like, and it just gave me this different perspective and outlook on it. And so the conference, guys, this is the thing that's gonna help you take to the next level. And for me, you can say, well, Paul, how'd you get there? Well, I had a snowboard that I loved. I was 19, just out of high school. I loved snowboarding. That was like my hobby. It was probably the nicest thing that I had. And I sold that for like $500. And then I asked my mom, and she was able to lend me some money. And in hindsight, I honestly have no idea where she got the money. And I'm kind of scared to ask her where she got the money, because she's like on disability, and I helped take care of all her bills. In fact, the other day, Ashley was funny. She was listening to, I think it was Spencer was on an annuity call. I was listening to this recording, and she's like, hey, I know what you are. And I was like, what, like a man, like a father, like a brother? Like, what does that mean? You know what I am? It's a trick question. She's like, no, you're an annuity. You're my annuity. And I was like, oh, that's funny. But I'm like, thank God that I get to be her annuity, right? Like every month I give her a check to cover all her bills. I was able to buy her house. And the truth is, like, that opportunity in my position to be able to do that, I'd be completely lying and self-absorbed if I act like that was just because of me. That was a decision that I made to get around different people that could help me elevate my thought process, that would lead me to better choices, that put me in that position. But it was association. It was association at these big events. And the beautiful thing about these events is this. Most people, I almost want to say all the people with Pinnacle, because I mean, it just seems like that's the DNA. They want to serve and help. Like, they've learned what to do to build a business. If they're on stage, they've had great success. They've earned a great amount of money. They want to return that. Like, some of the best, time spent that I have is pouring into people. Taking what I've learned and being able to help the person that's a couple steps behind me. Just say, hey, let me give you some eyes to see. Like, don't step there. You step there, boom, your leg's gonna get blown off. You want to keep all your limbs on your path to success. And being able to say, step here though. This is where you want to step. This is what you want to do. This is what you're gonna be thinking. Don't lead it. Don't give into that temptation, that feeling. Like when you feel like, hey, this isn't gonna work, and so you reduce your lead investment because you had a bad week. No, that's when you double down, right? You double down. It's kind of like going to the blackjack table. Like, it's like sometimes you got to have just a negative progression. You lose $5, put down 10. Lose 10, put down 20. It's going to eventually hit. The difference in this business, it's like, it's a numbers game. And so if you had a bad week, double down because you're about to have a great week, because numbers don't lie. But don't mess up your good week that's coming by a bad attitude and a shift of perspective because you're so bitter about the bad week. There's sequence of returns with everything in the stock market, in your business, with your lead flow. And so I started to learn all these different things and perspectives that helped me immediately. But as I started to go through and grow my business, it was seeds that started to like pop and grow and produce fruit when I didn't even know that they were there, but I had heard it. I had internalized it. I was starting to submerge myself in it. And so this event is going to be huge for you. Now, when you go there, what you got to realize is if it's hard for you to get there, good. You're probably going to get more than the person it's easy to get there. Like when I went there, because I knew I had my back against the wall, I had sold my snowboard, which I loved. I had borrowed money from my mom, which was, not a good thing because she didn't have any. And I went there to that event. Like I was locked in. Like I got the most from it because it cost me the most to get there. And I would just encourage you, like, if it costs you more, don't buy into the excuse, because that excuse costs you more than you could ever imagine. Like I could have easily been justified, and if I wanted to feel good about my decision to not go, I could have easily told somebody like, hey dude, like I just had a baby, like the baby's a couple weeks old, new in business, I've got no money at all. I got to take care of the baby. Like I can't go. That would have been just like, they would have been like, okay, that's a pretty good excuse. Like maybe, all right. But my dream was bigger than my excuse. I just needed somebody to help give me the right perspective to see it the right way, because I was living with that until somebody gave me the perspective. And if you're not currently going to the event, I hope this kind of helps give perspective, because like this is a big deal. You say, Paul, are you selling me on going? Oh yeah, I'm going to try to sell you as hard as I can, because I know how big of a difference it's going to make if you get there. I know how I could shift your entire life, that one big event where you make those big decisions at that big event. Now, let me give you some context, to those that are going. And let's just say, I absolutely can't go, and there's a funeral, something big. Okay, like this will still apply to every part of your business. We got conference calls, we got Zooms, we got meetings. Like this is very applicable. When you go to that event, I want you to really, in your mind, start to ask yourself some pointed questions. Like, where are you at in your business? What's the one thing that you don't know, if you did know, would make the greatest difference? What's the one thing that you think's holding you back? Maybe what's the 2 or 3 things that are holding you back? What's the thing that if you had it figured out, you believe it would help elevate you to the next level? What's the one person that if you built a relationship and asked some questions, they can really help pour into you? These are all questions that you start to analyze and think about. And as you do that, you start to kind of really inspect your business. Because the goal is this: you can't expect what you don't inspect. So the goal would be, if I can inspect my business, then I could build an expectation that when I go into the event, I'm going to get the answers to solve these problems that will take me to the next level. And so now I'm stepping into this event with a student mindset. It's the same way you want to step onto any call. Heck, if you go to church, I'm like the court reporter over in the corner, man, like a weirdo. I got my iPad. I'm taking notes. I'm typing. Why? Because I don't want to miss it. Like I don't want to just sit there and experience it. I want the experience to get into me. I want to internalize it. And so I'm taking notes. I'm making notes. I'm writing stuff down. I'm thinking like, okay, that's a great point. How do I apply this? How am I on a 1 to 10? Like that is great. That concept about being kind and stepping in and like putting everything out the door and stepping in with this new energy, because you don't want to give the lowest level of yourself to the people you care most about. Like I got that. Well, on a 1 to 10, and this is just me actually talking about, out loud, I guess my thoughts from church a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, shoot, I need to really pause before I go into the house and get my mind right, because I go in and I've already had 7,282 Zooms, it feels like, since 5 a.m. And so it's like, I kind of want to get in and just almost check out. I'm going to check out with the people that, my family, my kids, my wife that need me the most. I can't give my leftovers to the ones that I'm called to steward the most. Like I can't do that. So 1 to 10, I'm like, gosh, I feel like I'm like at a 5 right now with that. And so what can I do? So I'm taking the note, but I'm making the note. Well, now before I get in my car, I'm gonna just pause. I'm gonna say a quick prayer. I'm gonna get my breathing right, like 3 seconds out in my nose, 8 seconds out my mouth, kind of like settle myself, help with my cortisol levels or whatever, and just get my mind right. And then I'm gonna step back into the house and I'm gonna be clear-minded. I'm gonna be intentional. Made a big difference. I took a note, but I made a note. So when you go into the event and you've got these questions that you're thinking about, you're gonna step in with this student mindset. And with this student mindset, you're already priming yourself to have this open-mindedness where you're willing to let go of a thought process that's low level and substitute it with a higher level thought process. Just by having the questions, you're gonna have and receive more from the person on stage than even if you didn't get the questions answered. Now you wanna go find the people that you connect best with, right? The reality is everybody's different and you're at a different stage in this business. So when somebody speaks, one person might say, man, that was the best speaker. Man, that was so good. And another person thinks a whole different person was the best speaker. And I've seen this multiple times. We'll do like a, kind of a questionnaire or survey at the end of an event. Who was your favorite speaker? It's always different. It's not like everybody just says, this was my favorite speaker. Why? Because you're all different. You're at a different stage in your business. It's kind of like if my body was low in potassium and I ate a banana, my body's it's gonna feel better. I'm gonna feel better. It's gonna affect me better because I was lacking that. Well, if you're not lacking potassium, man, a banana ain't gonna hit you the same way. Maybe it's something else. So when you step in, you're gonna get fed, and you're gonna figure out, man, that person, what they said, God, that was what I needed. That's what I needed. Well, then go find that person and ask them questions because they want to serve you. They want to connect with you. They want to pour into you. Trust me. When I'm there, I want to connect with you. I want to get to know you. I want to see where you're at. I want to be able to provide value and ensure that I did everything I could, that when you leave, you've got what you need to go out there and make a difference. You got to put the action in, but don't be around somebody that can pour into you and provide value and not have any questions. That's a scary thought for me to even have. Like, I'm around somebody that can enhance my life, improve my life, and I don't have a question for them. Make sure you take an inventory for your business. You think about your business, where you're at. And this is the same thing as you go from the big event to the next event. You're going to step in. Every time I've gone to an event, I had somebody say, like, Paul, you've been to how many of these events? I was like, bro, a ton. I mean, we've had some of the years we had 2 or 3 big events like this. I don't know, 50 of these big annual summits, that were, so a lot of times 2-3 times, a ton of them. And you can say, well, are you still getting something from it? Oh yeah, every time. Well, how? It's the same playbook. Well, it's because I'm different. It's like kind of like if you go to church, this will make sense to you. Like you could hear the same message one year, then the next year, and you'll take something completely different from it. Well, why? Because the hope is you're different. And if you're different, you'll hear different because you're at a different stage, a different experience, a different perspective, a different stage in your life, right? It's kind of like they say, if you've got, 5, like I got 5 kids, they're like, you're different. Each kid was raised by a different dad. And when I heard that, I was like, that's kind of like, what does that mean? Like, well, 5 kids could be raised in the same home, but they're raised with different parents because you're different. Like I was different when I was 19 years old raising Peyton than I am when I'm 38 years old raising Psalm. So they do, in fact, have a different dad. Same Paul McLean, I guess, the name, right? But like, I'm a different person completely. So they're technically raised with a different person. And the reality is like, the hope is you're getting different too. So every time you go to an event, you will hear it different. Now, if you hear it the same way, I remember going to a meeting and I only had it happen, I think one time it was in Las Vegas. This guy's like, hey, he said, man, you fools talk about the same thing all the time. I said, we ain't the fools. You the fool that ain't learning or growing. That's why you hear it the same way every time. And that was the truth. Like and then if you ask him, he was doing the same thing over and over again. He was not doing anything different. What he was doing is just going to the meeting, trying to find something new to act like that's the reason why he wasn't successful. And now he's got the new thing and maybe he could do that thing. The reality is he wasn't doing anything that was being talked about. He wasn't growing. And so if you're taking action as you leave an event, you're going to grow, you're going to get better, you're going to change. As you go through the event, I'll give you a couple quick tips to take the most out of it when it comes to taking notes. Is I love this ACT method. I got it from John Maxwell years ago. I think it's a great way to ensure you extract all the value from it. The first is action. What are you going to take action on? The second is change. What are you going to change about your business? And then the T is teach. Who do you need to teach what you just learned? Who needs to hear what you just heard? And so I would just tell you guys this. If you're on the fence getting to the event, get to the event. Like, hopefully this will kick you off the fence, because the only thing you get when you're sitting on the fence is like splinters in your butt. They ain't no good, right? It's like, get off the fence. But like, just trust me with this. If you go to the event and 60 days later, you're like, that was a waste. Like, whatever costs, I'll give you 5 times the amount. I've had that proposition for years and nobody's ever taken me up on it. In fact, I leave you with this. One of the things that I think is so important to do is like, success leaves clues. And when you've got a group of people at a successful level, my question is like, what are their commonalities? I just had this guy ask me this today. It was a great question. What's the commonalities of the people that are the most successful in your business? Like, what characteristics, qualities, like, talk about that. It's a great question. The one thing I can tell you to be true is that the commonality with all the top people in the company, if you ask them, what was the biggest thing that helped your business explode? I don't know if I've ever heard a different answer than going to the annual summit. Going to that a big event where I made a big decision and it changed my business. And so this is your opportunity, guys. I'd get excited. Build an expectation that as you come out of this event, man, your business is going to shift. Maybe it's already crushing it, but hey, let's not let complacency set in. Maybe this event gives you the fuel to set aside complacency as it's starting to creep in, and you go crank it to the next level because you've already got momentum. Whatever it is for you, this meeting is what's going to take you to the next level. This meeting is what's going to help you get to the next level. And the reality is this: perseverance, it's the insurance policy against success or against failure. Perseverance. If you just keep persevering, I've never seen a person that hasn't quit not eventually get to a high level here. On the other side of that, procrastination is the insurance policy against success. So the longer you wait to do something, the less likely you are to do it. By just getting there and setting that casting that vote that says, hey, I'm committed, man. I'm already going. What that does is it starts to cast a vote for the next level you. And you're going to need a higher level identity to reach your high level goals. And so this is where you start saying, man, I am committed. I'm going to figure it out. I'm solution focused. I don't buy into excuses or complaining or whining or justification, man. I'm going to go out there and at all costs, I'm going to make this thing work. And so do it now. Don't delay. As you hop off, if you haven't got your ticket, get your ticket today. And I hope this served you well as far as just looking at association in the right lens and making sure as you go to meetings or on Zooms that you take everything association has to give you, because it's a great gift that we've got here in this industry with Pinnacle. But if you don't open up the gift, it doesn't provide you any value. So guys, we love you. Make it a big week. Stay strong. Stay steadfast. We'll see you next week. God bless you guys.